Hello, good morning to all of you. Good afternoon. I think we are to start this meeting, and I'm wishing you a very warm welcome on behalf of Plan International. Today we feel very privileged to showcase with you cases related to how to prevent and mitigate problems and conflicts related to water. I'm very happy to introduce to you in a bit my dear colleagues from Indonesia, Somalia and Ethiopia. But before we do so, I will just wait for a few moments for people to get in. And in the meanwhile, please be so kind to put your names and the organizations where you're from in the chat. That would be very much appreciated. We are very excited, as I mentioned, to be here today together with you, because when we saw the theme of World Water Week for this year, we feel it's very at the heart of Plan International, because every day we work with people in communities, supporting them and facilitating local organizations to mitigating and solving challenges and problems. And so when we saw this topic, we really felt to be here. So yeah, again, I will introduce my dear colleagues in a bit. Again, I still see some people coming online. While we're waiting, I'm just very curious who actually is in the room, and then I mean from Europe, because we know this is a very early session. So maybe you can raise your hand just for me to have an idea. And I don't know, Maya, if you can see if something is happening. I'm just very curious who is in the room from the Netherlands, from Europe, because again, here it's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's very early. People are still having breakfast or leaving for work or bringing the children to the school.
Yeah, I see we have 33 people joining us, which is wonderful, and more coming.
Okay.
And Yasir Abbas, he wrote in the comments, which is wonderful. He's joining us from Pakistan. So we've got also somebody from France, Denmark, Eritrea.
Great. Okay, great. Okay, then, welcome to everybody again. We are very happy to be here with you today. We have 3 amazing speakers and colleagues from different countries around the globe. And I will now give the floor to them to present themselves and how they feel this morning and this afternoon about being in the session. Sylvia, the floor is yours.
Hello, good morning, good day, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our session. My name is Sylvia Devina. You can call me Sylvia. I've been working for Plan Indonesia for the past 8 years now as a WASH and ECD advisor. So thank you very much.
Well, the floor to please, Malako, go ahead and present yourself.
Okay, thank you, Margot. Good morning, everyone. This is Malako Tafasa from Ethiopia, working as WASH thematic sector lead. I have been with Plan International for the last 7 years and happy to be part of this exciting learning session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Malako. Hassan, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Margot. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for participating and joining us on this important event and occasion. My name is Hassan Ali. I work for Plan Somalia, and I've been working Plan for the past 8 years, and I'm happy to be part of this energetic group that is going to participate on this session. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Hassan. Just briefly introducing myself. My name is Margot Borwerk. I've been working for Plan International Nederland for more than 7 years on WASH programs, but also other programs related to young women and female empowerment. And also I have with me on board Maya, who will also fortunately support me with logistics and chat and any other related issue. So thank you for that, Maya. Okay, let's go to the agenda of today. Basically, we will have like a carousel of cases where we will dive deeper into the situation of Indonesia, Ethiopia, and Somalia. What is happening on the ground when it comes to conflicts related to water? Why do they happen? And more importantly, how are they being mitigated or even being solved? To that, I'm so happy that I have here not only Sylvia, but especially also Hassan and Melaku, coming from really challenging countries as Somalia and Ethiopia, where the water conflict is not the only conflict. There are many more conflicts. It is within this context that they will talk about their cases. And just as an explanation, in between the cases, we will not have a lot of time for exchange. Rather, we do that at the end during the plenary, where we have ample opportunity to exchange about the cases and also discuss other questions. But in between, in between the cases, if you have one key question, please feel free to reach out. But in any case, put all your observations and questions you have in the chat all the way long, so that we can take them on board during the plenary. After the plenary, of course, we will have a roundup and also talking on our own commitment when it comes to taking up approaches that contribute to mitigating water-related challenges. Okay, having said that, I think the time is now ripe to pass the floor to Sylvia. Bring us to Indonesia, please.
Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you very much, Marco. Good day, everyone, and good morning to you if you are from Europe. I was just wondering before I start, maybe you can raise your hand if you are from Indonesia.
And we can also use the reaction buttons down the bottom.
Yes, you can also use the reaction. Thank you, Mia. Yes.
Okay, let's go.
I see quite many, yes. Okay, thank you very much. Today, I'll be sharing about how Plan Indonesia helped in mediating water-related conflict in Sumbawa, Indonesia specifically. So we found that the areas where we work in Sumbawa, especially in Lombok and Lape sub-districts, they share one dam, which is called Mamak Dam. And what happened is, over the years, there has been conflict between farmers, law enforcers, and other community members, including girls, young women, and people with disability. As you know, in many other countries, water-related work, for example, fetching water, is still the work and the responsibility for women and girls. So this case is actually affecting women and girls as well. And this, there's actually has already a regulation in that area, which is called red line and the green line zone. So this regulation is actually help to regulate farmers in each zones when they are supposed to plant rice, when they are supposed to plant corn, for example, and when the dam gates or door are open. But unfortunately, there has been still some conflict related to this issue. Next, please. This next page is a map of Indonesia. Maybe some of you already know that Indonesia is a very big country with 270 million people. And we work in three areas specifically, Sumbawa and Manggarai districts, and also one city called Kupang. We already have an approach called Integrated Water Management, or IWM Forum, which is also initiated by Plan Indonesia. And we have what we call a GESI element, or gender equality, disability, and social inclusion. What makes this approach different is actually in the forum where we work, we integrated GESI component by including women and people with disability in the forum. So this forum is actually a process that brings together all stakeholders, and they can discuss things about water-related issues and also communicate and coordinate between each other. And of course, also included people with disability and also women. Next, please. So the GESI IWM Forum has many different members. For example, there are government representative like district government, and also from district health office, from district environment and forestry office. We also have representative from the private sectors, from academician, and most importantly, we have also members from the people with disability organization, the women organization, and traditional and religious leaders. As you can see on the slides, we have several divisions like water resource conservation, water damage control. We have a division on research and education. But in this slide, I highlighted the two different divisions. Is actually the division of GESI, STBM, or community-led sanitation, and the division of policy and mediation. This is the specific division which we will be discussing more about in this presentation. Next, please. Okay, as you can see from the journey, it hasn't been easy. It's quite a long journey. We started with conducting a GESI IWM assessment in October 2021. What we did was we initiated a need assessment in Sumbawa and in Manggarai in our working areas, and we found that actually there has been water conflict problems and climate change effects that we as a WASH intervention program have to adapt also. Climate change is actually something that we cannot escape from. It happened and we have to adapt quickly. And then the second stage is we established the forum in 2022, exactly 2 years ago. And then between 2022 and 2024, there has been several conflicts, as you see on the previous slide, happening, and which actually that big case, which I spoke about in the previous slide, initiated the mediation. In June 2024, we as a forum, we initiated the mediation meeting because we found that the conflict is worsened during the years and we have to do something about it. And then in July 2024, just last month, there's a problem solving and planning process that's been ongoing after the meeting. So it's a follow-up that we have to go and discuss further. And then we agreed and decide the action plan. And then we have an agreement and signed, all parties involved signed the agreement. And then we agree on several points that we will be sharing in the next slide. Next, please. So this is the process that I will discuss on the stages, on the steps. Last month, the GESI IWM forum mediating the big case that I was speaking about. And we agreed on the several points that number one, there has to be a sanction for any parties that violated the law. They have to be more strict on that. And then there's a WhatsApp group, which will be a communication channel between all parties, all community members in the dam, around the water source. And we also agreed that the law enforcer have to patrol around the dam more strictly, more regularly, so that there shouldn't be any more conflict. So lessons learned, like you see, we have been doing this for more than 3 years now. We found that in order for this forum to happen, and to have an effect, we have to maintain. And I think maintaining is actually the key. And how we do that? We start with doing training between the members of the forum, because we found that when we do training and then we initiated the communication and coordination between the members, it helps between the member themselves to understand their roles, to commit to the forum, and also to achieve common goal. And we also found that this forum is actually very crucial to encourage peace, prevent potential conflict, and also mediate conflict which is happening. So we found that in order to do that, you have to start with, opening the mindset of the members, conduct training. Once it's ongoing, they understand their roles, they will be committed to the forum, and they will communicate and coordinate between each other. And what we also found, because we include women and people with disability, they becoming more and more, they understand more about what their rights are, they become more confident. So I think that's one of the key that which I think we should have all this forum in all areas in Indonesia, especially, and also all around the world. So that's it from my presentation. That's my last slide. After this, Marco will introduce the video. So thank you very much. Welcome if you have questions later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. I think we will now go to, we will actually go to Indonesia.
Water is an essential element that ensures the existence of life on Earth, and our future depends on it. In Sumbawa, Indonesia, the issue of water security and access is becoming increasingly important, especially with climate change and increased potential for conflict. Water conflicts affect many people, including the most vulnerable ones, such as children, girls, women, people with disability, and elderly. Imagine you are part of a conflict related to access to water.
Dampak bagi kita perempuan ketika terjadi konflik perebutan air, maka akses air akan terputus yang akan menyebabkan sulitnya mendapatkan air bersih untuk kebutuhan sehari-hari seperti mencuci, memasak, dan kebutuhan lainnya.
Konflik yang terjadi terkait pembagian air untuk areal pertanian yang menyebabkan suami saya harus dirawat selama 3 bulan. Penyebabnya adalah tidak diizinkan saluran irigasi yang melalui petakan sawah anggota P3A tersebut. Beliau ingin menguasai sendiri air yang peruntukannya untuk kepentingan bersama.
We could prevent violent water conflicts if water resources are better managed. Yayasan Plan International Indonesia initiated the IWM Forum as a forum for communication and coordination related to water management at the district level.
Forum PSDAT Kabupaten Sumbawa sebetulnya memiliki peran sebagai wadah koordinasi dan komunikasi terkait dengan pemanfaatan penggunaan air, baik pusat air di dalam pengelolaan sumber daya air.
In addition to conservation efforts and ensuring water availability, this forum is also a forum to mitigate and mediate existing water conflicts.
Kami melakukan mediasi dengan para pihak pada tanggal 23 Juli 2024 agar ada kesepakatan yang kita capai agar ketersediaan air dapat tercukupi untuk menghindari terjadinya konflik penggunaan air.
Saya berharap semua orang bisa menggunakan air dengan kedamaian, termasuk pembagian irigasi maupun untuk kebutuhan sehari-hari.
Harapan saya, seluruh lapisan masyarakat dan juga kami disabilitas dapat memiliki akses terhadap air sehingga konflik tidak akan terjadi lagi.
Resolving water conflicts requires time and effort, but it's possible. Let's continue to expand community dialogue approaches to promote peace.
Thank you so much, Sylvia, for this insightful video. Really impressive that you have been able to capture all what's happening in the community and how you did that. Before switching back to the presentation, can you please, one phrase also for the sake of time, what is it you are most proud of?
Yeah. I'm most proud of the women and people with disability who are in the forum, because once they are in the forum, they become more confident and they become much more empowered. And for example, for the Disability Day, they initiated the commemoration by planting trees, on planting mangrove, and they initiated this themselves. So I'm really proud of them.
Thank you so much. And before we go from Indonesia to Ethiopia, are there any urgent things or comments or questions we need to take care of in the chat?
No additions in the chat, Marco. Just a lot of people from all around the world expressing their Happiness to be here. So we welcome everyone, and if you haven't put your name or location in the chat, please do so. We like to get to know who's with us today.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maya, for that, and welcome to all of you. Let's quickly proceed from Indonesia to Ethiopia. Milaku, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Margot, and thank you, the organizers, for providing us this platform. And I will be presenting you the case from Ethiopia. And before proceeding to the actual presentation, I would be happy if there is anyone who had been to Ethiopia before. That would be much appreciated to know. You will show me that with a reaction as possible. And while you do so, I will directly proceed to my case. And the Ethiopian case, I'll take you to Tigray region in the northern part of Ethiopia. And the Woreda is called Imbalaje Woreda, where Garalta village is found. And Garalta village is known for its limited water supply coverage, and that is due to poor infrastructure, effect from climate, and the damaging effect from the recent war between federal government and Tigray forces worsening the situation. If you see that in numbers, it was 15% of the water supply coverage before the war, and it was reduced to 18% after the war, to show the damaging effect. And due to these limitations, water-related conflicts have been happening in that village for years. And there is only one spring as a source with one communal water point from which more than 205 households have been using water. And there are schools, health posts, and farming centers, institutions which are competing for water, creating more competition and tension among users. And there is poor management from the wash board because they are becoming non-functional due to the war and other challenges. These all are to the water-related conflicts happening in the area. Next slide, please. And when we see the approach used by Plan International to solve this situation, Plan International came up with a project called Healthy Village, and the project used both formal and informal governance structure in the ground, like the wash posts and community meeting structures in the ground. And the project has a multi-sectoral approach which enabled it to provide water for community as well as institutions, which is to prevent further conflict and mitigate the existing ones. And we have the gender and wash monitoring tool, which has been used as a monitoring as well as a triggering tool. And with this tool, we are able to participate women, and women are now taking leadership roles in the wash posts, which is helping us to minimize the conflict. In doing so, we participated the community, and the community are owning the schemes overall structures in the ground, which is helping us. The other approach is climate resilient wash approach, which is being applied under the project, which includes protection of the source. Next slide, please. Yeah, to show the situation, we will be meeting Bahafta, a 37-year-old woman, a mother of 4 boys from Garalta village, and she recalls the frequent water-related conflicts as part of their daily life while fetching water. And to solve these conflicts, they have been nagging the local government to solve it, but the local government has its own priorities and was not able to manage this. Next slide. Yeah, Bahafta said the gender wash monitoring tool shows the WASH workload, participation, decision-making, and leadership between men and women separately to show the real condition on the ground when it comes to gender equality. And she said, after conducting this gender WASH monitoring tool study, everyone in the community agrees to give them opportunity for women to participate and lead the WASH course, and that enables them to solve the water-related conflicts. And she said community are starting to refer water-related conflicts as conflict of women, because women are usually accustomed with provision of, or they have the responsibility to provide water for the household. And with the tool and the other opportunities, the capacity building trainings, they are able to manage these things coming to the front line. And Bafta said she strongly believes women should take leadership role within WASH course. The next slide. And while mitigating the conflict, Bafta and the other women, they take the leadership role within the WASH course. They are committed now, they show the commitment and they have the capacity once they are given the opportunity. And now we are seeing improvement on the social cohesion in that community because we are used the gender WASH monitoring tool as a triggering tool to come up with a positive behavior within the community, triggering men to give opportunity for women. And the other causes for the conflicts have been mentioned before, and it includes agricultural land for use during pipeline works. And to prevent further conflict, we have completed all pipeline activities before the farming season, which is a lesson we learned from the continuous community meetings, and that made us adaptive in addressing the challenge. Next slide, please. And when we see the lessons learned and the challenges, the first challenge is the community were coming out of war, which is a humanitarian crisis. And we developed and applying the crisis modifier to help the community, which shows the nexus nature of our approach. You can't straight go to the development sector without addressing the humanitarian needs. That is one of our ways of doing here. And when you see the water supply coverage, it stands at 80%. It's very limited. And to avert this situation, we can't go to the new construction, which are time taking. For that, we focused on the rehabilitation of existing schemes so that the community could get water within shorter periods, because the project has been started before some 6 months, and you could see the result because they already started getting water. And the governance capacity of the formal structure, like the WASH pools, they were damaged with the war actually. And we actually have to reorganize all these. We should capacitate them, and we gave all the necessary maintenance toolkits and the capacity building trainings, and address the challenge with this one, because if they don't have the capacity, we can't handle such issues. And it is with this that we manage to give. Sorry.
We will wait for a few seconds for Melaku to continue his presentation. Urgent issues in Ethiopia coming up, I believe. In the meanwhile, Maya, how many questions or comments do we have in the chat?
We have an interesting selection of people who have either lived in or visited Ethiopia. Quite a few people have visited. Someone even said that they have visited 6 times, which I think.
Wow. Okay. Melaku, the floor is yours again.
Yeah, sorry for the interruption. Someone was looking for the meeting room. There are a lot of things these days.
No worries.
To proceed to the point, I was talking about the governance structure, I think, and the governance structure within the community that was damaged. We have reestablished those things through capacity building and provision of some maintenance toolkits. And we helped them to come up with a bylaw, which includes measures which will be taken when someone breaches those rules. And the other challenge was men were reluctant to support their wives and girls, their daughters within the community. That is a fact in the ground. And after we used the gender wash monitoring tool, we presented the results, the finding of this tool, the assessment, and that helped us to trigger men to come up with a positive behavior to support their wives and other girls so that they enjoy and practice decision-making and leadership role within the community. And that is why they came to the front and decided to tackle the water-related conflict within the community. Yeah, I think this will be the end of my presentation. Thank you for your patience. And if you have any question, I'm here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate your presentation. And yeah, I'm really happy that you are here today because, again, Ethiopia has many conflicts and challenging zones to travel to. You were actually part of that as well in the past few days, but I'm so happy that you are here. And before I give the floor to last but not least, Hassan from Somalia, Melako, can you maybe just say in one sentence, what are you most proud of looking back at this experience you've just been sharing?
Yeah, thank you, Margot. I am proud seeing this local woman in that Geralta village, including Bahafta, participating and leading the formal structures like the WASH Management Committee. And that is one of the fascinating aspects of being a humanitarian worker. Seeing those who are being marginalized and devoid of the opportunity to come to the front and take the leadership to solve such issues.
So yeah. Thank you so much, Melako, for sharing that, and thanks a lot for your presentation and sharing your experience on the case. And well, as I said, last but definitely not least, we will now go to Somalia, another very intriguing and challenging country. So the floor is yours, Hassan.
Thank you, Margot. Good morning, everyone. I just want to say thank you for joining us as early as now. Can I see people from Somalia? Just raise up your hand or just react on the Zoom so that you can see it. Thank you for joining us. It's really a pleasure that you are with us. And let me go to, first of all, my case in Somalia. First of all, my name is Hassan Ali. I work with Plan International Somalia, and here is my case that we have prepared for Somalia. Somalia, has been facing several decades of conflicts where the federal government, has collapsed in 1992, and people were internally displaced around the country. And then there were droughts and there were floods, again, as a result of climate change at global level. So in Baidawa, we were supporting 10 IDP camps where we had around 400 people were affected by conflict, who already been displaced by the drought, or also been again displaced by the floods. So across in that area, only 43% of that population had only access to safe, clean water. And then young women and girls were also, are impacted by this hugely by this lack of water. And the primary responsibility in our country is women to fetch water and collect firewoods from outside. So this also might have led, as this might have led a GBV and gender-based violence, incident outside from their homes when they are collecting, water. So as a result, the competition also was very tough and very high, and dispute over water queuing was also one led to another was also very high at that particular time, because the water infrastructure has been destroyed by the floods. So and people were afraid to go, to get water at that particular time was, challenging. So go to the next slide, please. So in the IDB sites that we were providing, responding, the first priority or the primary crisis of those IDB camps were to get clean water. And the percentage that we had at that particular time and the influx that we were receiving, the new arrivals that were coming to the IDB were very high. Out of 82, only for 3 residents, 82%, only for 3% had access to water. And then when it comes to, what they were received at that particular time during our start of intervention was, only 18% had access to, aid from other partners on the ground. So to respond, we had to, come up with a strategy to mitigate the risk by prioritizing what's on the place at the first beginning. If you can go to the next slide, please. In this case, we have made HAWA one of the, our beneficiaries that we supported during this flooding period in response to flood and drought in Somalia. HAWA and along her fellow female colleagues or resident mate in the IDBs are now collecting water in one of the IDB water points that we have rehabilitated. So go down, Margaret. So we met Hawa in Baidoa IDBs. Hawa is a mother of a 45-year-old mother of 8 children who has fled from drought in Bai region. Also, she sought a refugee in a displaced IDB camp in Baidoa. I quote from Hawa when we were discussing her. These were her quotes. We were first displaced by droughts and then again displaced by floods. Hawa said we used to travel long distance to fetch water, which was expensive and tiring. Hawa continued, sometimes we used to return empty-handed and unable to cook for our children. Hawa added, there were risks of potential violations as a result of fighting each other over the water. You can understand, you can imagine when, the water is scarcity and, the people in need and the people, what we have to respond is not proportionally, equal. Such violence might be likely happen. And one of the key issues Hawa mentioned was that she used to fear that she would go home without water and then she would not be able to cook for her children. So after our planned response, we have now changed that scenario and improved. We provided clean water services to the residents for the IDPs that were impacted by floods and drought. And then people like Hawa also received clean water in the first phase of our intervention. She also received, in response to that, we also had to include her in water management committees, the decision-making, inclusion. Like, in the first place, she never had that opportunity to be in such groups. So we empowered people like how to be part of the decision-making process, like involve them, the water committees. So continue next, please. So in terms of plan approach, we provided immediate water, to respond to this crisis. We had to take into two categories, providing emergency water tracking for the first days of the flooding. And then again, we were thinking of also an exit strategy that people, cannot rely on a provision of emergency water tracking, which is costly sometimes, which sustainability might not be, might be a challenge. So we also rehabilitated the water points that were destroyed by the floods to have, in line with our long-term strategy for the community. We also enhance, reduce conflict and mitigate risk of losing or water scarcity in that particular IDP camps that we are working. We also empowered ownership, also the sense of ownership, the community that we were working. We involved them in the decision process and the participatory approach that we were doing for inclusive people like Hawa were part of the committees that making decisions on behalf of the community. So and water during the distribution of water, we prioritize a safer site that is safer for all, including women and girls, that are accessible and safe and unsafe during at night time or daytime. So in terms of continuum plan approach, we had to do collaboration and coordination among the key stakeholders, such as the government and the Ministry of Water and clusters and other international NGOs and UN NGOs that are working in that in our area. We also had a clear definition of implementing partners, where we had several partners who are involved in providing emergency response. We had to coordinate to avoid overlap and duplicate among the communities that we are providing. Participatory also was among key issues that we were, empowering, that people like Hawa was part of the participatory process within the community. We also had all members of the society being included in that community. People with a disability were also being part of that, process. We also had to address GVB and sexual-based violence by, providing water into safe and accessible area that women and girls can go at daytime and at night time. And feedback mechanism will also improve. Please go to the next slide. The results we get after we did all those things, that the committee has gained better access, and they were all over. The resources we provided were all over, and we also reduced the cost and the timing of people going to queue or going, from one place to another place to get water, or the conflict between the community to get, to fight over the resources. We also improve a project that has also improve the efficiency of our response at that particular time. We also empowered community members, female members, to be part of, part of the committees that we are establishing in the first place to enhance participatory approach for our response. Go to the next slide, please.
This is your last minute, Hassan, to still have time for.
Yeah, this is our last, our lesson learned. Well, very few. I'll make it very brief. Selection process and also inclusion was unfamiliar. When we were coming to respond, people were not familiar on, including all people in that particular area. Some people were just be selected based on their interests. So now we have improved the inclusion process, the selection process, also selection criteria at the particular area. Also, in terms of feedback and complaint and feedback mechanism, We also provided a toll-free number that they can report whatever they see. In terms of GVV and messages, sometimes back they were not familiar with how, you know, those GVB messages, and people were ignoring it. So after conducting severe trainings and enhancing our community ownership, we also increased community ownership at that particular IDBs that we were doing interventions. Next slide, please. So
this is actually my last question to you, but I'm very curious to hearing, all that you have been working on and experiencing on the ground. What you're more proud of, that you're really putting it nicely in here?
Two things that I'm proud of is that one is that we have make inclusions as a lifeline to our projects, that people like how are part of our committees, our decision makers that we used to consult with her. Again, we had to leave something, as an exit strategy, we have to, rehabilitate an existing water point that were destroyed by the floods, so that communities can continue after the project ends. So now the project that we were doing has completed some times back, and we still community have established dedicated water committees, which is safe and inclusive. They also have water resources that's still ongoing. So I'm very proud and be part of that process, and I look forward to learn.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hassan, for sharing. Sorry for cutting you short, but for the sake of time, I really want to thank you so much, because I think going from Indonesia, Ethiopia, Somalia, it's really a challenging background, and I applaud you for that, and I applaud for all my three colleagues from three completely different contexts, actually, seeing that the approaches are being implemented in different countries. And I'm very mindful of the time, but I really would like to invite the audience for any question or appreciation about all those three cases. And also we have some specific questions still to exchange with you upon. I'm looking to Maya. Is there any question that already was posed before that we can look at?
Yes, we have quite a few questions in the chat. A question from Gulaid Hassan. He is living in Somaliland, and he asked about the conflict issues that take place in IDP settings, with them already being quite volatile settings. What mechanisms and broad approaches can be used to address conflict issues, especially considering the lack of strong government intervention? So that's a question, I think, directed toward Hassan.
In the first place, yes, Gula, thank you very much for your question. Yeah, it's a really relevant question. It's a question that all humanitarians ask themselves. But in such scenario, we have we power the existing water management committees at the particular IDB sites that you are providing, or a particular village that you are dealing with. So in those committees, we need to make sure that they represent by all members in that community, whether it's female, whether in terms of tribe, in terms of male, in terms of disability. So depending on the approach that you use at that particular time will determine the lack or a strong government entity. But there are still some key line ministries have been established at the state level and federal level that is trying, although the capacity might not be the same as the developed country, but they're still trying to have those basic principles to be on the place. So we in line with those by coordinating with the relevant existing laws, and then approaching the community directly by having a participatory committee. So that's how we tackle it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hassan. Any other questions? And also what I would say to the audience, we really would like to hear from you also what are your best practices in your organization when it comes to mitigating and preventing water-related conflicts. So if there is, please also you can put these in the chat so that we can have it all together. So yeah.
We have a question from our very own Kherdin, and it is directed, I believe, to Melaku for Ethiopia. And she asks, what are your main water resources and how do you recharge those? Do you install rainwater harvesting systems? So that's a question for Melaku.
Okay, thank you, Maya. The water resource in our village is a spring, as I said, and the major tasks being done in that area is protection of the source from flooding. There is a flooding in that area, polluting the source as well as causing damage on the pipeline. That was the challenge. And after conducting discussions with the local government, the water office, and the wash force and the communities, we managed to cut eucalyptus tree around that area, which is actually taking much of the water that could be recharging the source, the aquifers in that area. And that are some of the activities being done around the area, if I got your question. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. I hope that is clear. That answer is clear. And are there any other general questions, remarks? I see one hand raised. Mm-hmm.
We do have a hand raised. A couple of other questions in the chat from Benjamin Kirsch, and he is also, if you scroll in the chat, he's also indicating his expertise with FAO, and that FAO has a water tenure assessment framework, and he has linked this in the chat. So I think there's a good practice there that we could learn from. He also asked the question, and I believe this was a question for Hassan, I think. Did you form new committees or strengthen existing committees? Are there local government structures which support the process?
Is that question?
Yeah, let me jump in. Yeah, thank you. That's also a relevant question, and thank you for asking that. We revived an existing committees by making an inclusive to all. So there were initial committees, but it was not a participatory committee. So we revived, and based on our approach, and based on how the project was designed and how plan works, we revived them. And then there is government structure that's in place with very minimal capacity, but they're trying to enforce and provide the necessary support to the community. But overall, the need and what we have is overwhelming. That's the key challenge the government itself is facing. So despite having little resources at hand in the government as well. So thank you.
Thank you. I also see Melaku, maybe you would like to add, or is it to another topic?
Yeah, there is another question. Actually, before proceeding to that question, I will add our case from Ethiopia on the question about water committees. And it is similar with Somalia that we reestablished existing wash costs in the area. For your surprise, there was no monitoring maintenance on the existing schemes before our intervention, the project intervention. And that is due to the damage from the war, specifically. That was the biggest damage from the war. And then we have to reestablish them and made at least 50% of them women to participate them. and we gave them equipment support as well as the capacity building training. And they developed a bylaw, which is the most critical part for us. And with that bylaw, they are forcing and convincing the community to pay the water tariff, which is used during the maintenance and operation for the routine activities. And they will apply that one as well for the conflicts in case of conflict. And there is another question, I think, from Tennabab. Maya, if I'm correct, there is a question from Tennabab which says, how do you align WASH costs with the federal government, such as the Ministry of Water and Energy? That should be for Ethiopia. And WASHCO is a formal structure, as you know, and they are responsible to report to the Water Federation if that is existing within the Kabale. And otherwise, they report directly to the World Water Office, which is part of the governance structure or the formal structure within the government.
Melaku, sorry, apologies for interrupting you, but I just want to, I'm very aware of the time. We only have like 4 minutes left, but I just want to emphasize that with this session, we do not end. I mean, there will be ample of time after this event, after the session, to further exchange on this important topic. And I would also ask really to the audience to really think of your best practices in your organizations. Please take a few moments to put them in the chat, because we really want to capture all that. And also, the last homework is, what is it that you are going to do to keep on working, preventing water-related challenges? So what I would like you to do now, this is a question also to the speakers, but also to the audience, what are your best practices on the one hand, and what are you going to do as from now towards the future to really make sure you continue or you start playing a role when it comes to mitigating conflict-related challenges. And please take like a few, 1 minute and put it in the chat. I hope this question, those 2 questions resonate with you. To first share what it is you do already. Maybe you can share a link or a title of your project or approach. And then secondly, maybe for some of you, this topic is completely new. Maybe you will say, aha, I'm intrigued in what this monitoring tool was about. I want to learn about it. Maybe you want to have coffee with somebody to talk about this topic. Any commitment is fantastic. Is it working, Maya, or?
No contributions yet.
Aha, I hope people are thinking.
Oh, trickling through.
Or again, any question you might still have to one of the 3 speakers, please also put that in the chat so that we can take that into account. Because as I mentioned, this session is ending in for about 2 minutes, but it will of course not stop here, because unfortunately the topic of water-related conflicts, it's not it's going to be there still for the time being and towards the future.
So we do have a hand raised.
Sure.
However, I don't know if it's possible for participants to unmute themselves and speak.
Yeah, I think that should be possible. We still have this technical colleague to unmute, but maybe also put it, please, Professor Jagannath, you can also put your question in the comment, then we will take that into account. Please do that, because we only have 1 minute left.
Okay, Margaret, I just want to take 30 seconds. You see, all the cases are very well documented and presented, but there is one small thing required which can make it marvelous. That is UN best practices. 2 sheets, 12 fields. Simply, it can give a whale of a difference. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for your contribution. We will definitely take that into account. And again, I'm very aware of the time. Thank you so much for being here. It was great to have you all together in this environment. And I hope you enjoyed this session. We still have some few seconds. Please put in the chat how you appreciate it. Did you like the session? Did you not like it? You can also put your thumbs like that or like that. Just finalizing the session, please express how did you like the contributions from our three dear colleagues from around the globe. And thank you so much for being here.
Congratulations to all three speakers and the team. Thank you.
And this question also goes to the other participants, of course. Thank you so much for your time and being here. And I also hope you have a fantastic remainder of the day, since it's still very early, well, for the people in Europe. Sylvia, I wish you a great afternoon as well. Thank you so much for your attention, for your cooperation, and also, of course, for your commitment. And I think, yeah. Yeah, I think